And we're live.
Good morning, everyone. It's the notorious one himself, V the Gorilla Economist, coming to you live with my main man, CJ, aka El Cuco. And we're giving you the news, the views, and all the information important to you. You can check us out at RogueMoney.net. Follow us on Twitter at the Rogue Money. And Rogue Money on Facebook, DTube, Steam It, every single podcasting app known to humanity. We are everywhere you want us to be in a bag of chips. With that being said, check out our sponsor, thecryptoschool.io, thecryptoschool.io. Massive amounts of entertainment are taking place at the Crypto School, where you can either A, go through the basics curriculum if you need to get your feet wet on what crypto is, how cryptos work, what wallets and exchanges to utilize. Check it out. The Crypto School has a video series for you that will take you down the entire lane of what you need to know. But if you're more of a seasoned individual, you're comfortable with cryptos, and you want to trade and make some money, take advantage of the free printing press that they've given you. It's called Cryptocurrencies. Go to the Watch Us Trade Room and watch Crypto Z and Cowboy trade. These guys don't sleep. They are pretty much there all day long. So check it out. thecryptoschool.io. With that being said, Siege, what's crack-a-lacking, brother?
Hey, doing great, V. Just want to send a shout out to our chat room on Facebook and YouTube. You know, you guys are loyal fans, are always joining. You know, I'll set the show up, V, in like less than 2 minutes, like a race. Like they post in the chat room, like, first, I'm here. So want to send a shout out to all of our listeners, Anita, Michael, is it Fudwaddle? Tom's not in. Tom's usually here every day as well. Michael. So we appreciate you guys showing the love and support in the chat room.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. We got some real awesome individuals and fans that are in there. So I want to thank you all for listening in. Siege, what do you want to get into, brother?
Well, I think the major discussion of the day will be the 2 p.m. announcement by Trump announcing whether the United States will honor the nuclear deal, which is nothing about nuclear, which we've discussed numerous times. V, you've broken that down. London Paul broke that down yesterday. So that is the inevitable question today that is affecting a little bit of the markets. And then also a little bit, my concern is that we continue to see oil. It did surpass the $70 benchmark yesterday, and it's kind of interesting to hear this, V, because do you remember when like gasoline prices went down to like $2 a gallon? Do you remember that? Like, last summer, how many retailers and airline companies do you remember at that time said, "Oh, we jacked prices up on you 2 years ago, but we're going to lower our prices now because oil is so cheap"? How many did you hear do that? Absolutely none, right? Like none. No one did. But guess what they're doing now? So now the speculation is already out there. They're anticipating, higher gas prices, which, is my concern, is that now we're going to see once again, inflation hit us in about every aspect, whether it's utilities, whether it's our grocery bills, the price we pay at the pump. This is one of the last things that our economy needed, right now. And then also the tapped out middle class as well, V.
Absolutely, 1,000%, man. When you look at it this way, right, you're looking at the fact that, oil, which is very strategically relevant, is really left to the hands of speculators. There is no reason on God's green earth while oil is above $70 a barrel. There is not a single damn reason. We have enough glut of supply, and this glut is a type of glut that will probably last another 5 years or so. So this little bump that we have here, well, I think a lot of it has to do with our buddies over at Saudi Arabia, the little sandbox that we have going on over there, and some of the speculators speculating on Saudis cutting production, also the Aramco IPO, which is just floating around willy-nilly. These are just a handful of things that are causing this ridiculous oil price going up. I think it's going to come back down. I think it will go up, for a little bit. We'll probably see maybe $80 a barrel before it comes back down to the 50 to 60 range. The Saudis, like what London Paul said, they've burned through their sovereign wealth fund. They've absolutely eviscerated their sovereign wealth fund, and there's not much of anything left there. The only way they could do some sort of replenishment is if oil prices are higher. Now, that's a two-pronged attack. You see, oil prices get up to $70 a barrel, you're going to have a lot of the shale oil guys all of a sudden start increasing production as well, because now it becomes more profitable for them. A lot of the times for the last several years, the break-even point for shale was about $65 a barrel. Okay, they, thanks to some recent advancements in technology, the break-even point is even lower, probably into the 35 to 40 range. But when it's up to 70, you're going to see an uptick. So there's going to be more of an oil production, which again will bring the price of oil back into the comfortable $50 to $60 range. Definitely around $50 would be a nice spot for it to be. We should see that. I don't know when that will happen. I think the oil companies and I think the speculators will like to always raise prices going into the summer because everybody knows it's the busy travel season, so they're going to milk it. And we'll probably see a return back to $50 a barrel sometime this fall. I mean, that's the way I'd look at it. But I don't see it going past 100, Siege. I think we're going to probably get up to the $80 range, maybe even kiss 90. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's interesting because, and that's one of the things in regards to like the whole Q thing, and the wondering not only the arrest of the criminality of Obama, the Clintons and everything, but when you take a look, geopolitically, and that's something that I keep keying back on, is that with these decisions in regards to Iran, we still see such a huge influence of the Saudis and the Israelis. Because as we've shared, it has really nothing to do with nuclear power. It's just more the amount of influence that Iran is getting, in the Middle East. I mean, last summer they brokered a deal with Iraq to help with facilitating their oil production and sell. Now they have also announced that they're going to be trading and dealing in the oil with the euro, completely bypassing the dollar. So that's what always leads me to this broken foreign policy and who has, Trump's ear as it relates to those important things, just in terms of world peace. And the last thing that we want is any type of escalation right now there in the Middle East.
Yeah, absolutely correct, man. I mean, let's look at it this way, right? What this has done, and what is this whole JCPO is all about? And ending it is all about hobbling Iran, the biggest competitor in the Middle East to Saudi oil. Okay, the biggest competitor to OPEC, and specifically Saudi Arabia, is Iran. Okay, Iran right now, statistically speaking, right now, mathematically speaking, right now, technically speaking, Iran could bring oil to the market at a better rate than the Saudis. Why? Because the Saudis are running out. Okay, a lot of their wells, and we hear, they have 6 major wells, the Gawar being the biggest. A lot of their wells are pumping a lot of water. Okay, they're a lot of the water that's being pumped in there to extract oil is coming right back up. It is problematic for the Saudis. Okay, the Saudis, folks, if you don't know this, but the Saudis, in the agreement that Kissinger signed with OPEC, specifically Saudi Arabia, the Saudis do not have to give the exact amount of oil. They don't have to, give an assay for how much oil they have. They don't have to do that. They don't have to do no sort of count on their petroleum reserves whatsoever. Number one. The second thing is the Saudis, and watch the angle here, folks. Watch the angle. You guys are a smart audience. You guys will pick this up very quickly. The Saudis, okay, not only do they have to not give account for how much oil they have, they do not have to give account to how much treasury notes they actually own. Do you see a pattern here? They don't have to tell you how much oil is left. They don't have to tell you how much U.S. debt they hold. They can fictitiously say, yeah, we own about 1.3 trillion, when the actual real number is significantly more. So what do you think the power play here is? Question number one. Is this about oil? Or is this about, the terrorism and Iran is the biggest sponsor of terrorism, which is horse crap. Okay? If there is the most wickedest regime in the Middle East, I cannot find a more heinous regime than the House of Saud. I fail to find a more heinous regime than the House of Saud. The House of Saud. I mean, think how idiotic this is. The House of Saud, which helps fund Al-Qaeda, which helped launder money for ISIS via the UAE, specifically Dubai, the money laundering capital of the world. I don't think you folks know that, but I do. What do you think those skyscrapers are there for? What, you folks, you realize most of those skyscraper sales in Dubai, the vast majority of skyscrapers are 70, 80, 90% empty? It's a money laundering operation. That's how you do it. That's how you wash the funds. That's how you get it into the hands of ISIS. That's how you get into Al-Nusra, Al-Jamia, Al-Islamia, and Boko Haram. That's how you get it. So the Saudis are a dirty, dirty regime. And the Saudis say, Iran is the biggest funder of Iran is a repressive regime. Look, I'm no fan of Iran or the government of Iran. I'm no fan of any sort of theocracy. But if I were to pick the lesser of two evils, Iran is way, 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 way better than Saudi Arabia. Way better. In Iran, if you're a woman, you could drive a car. In Iran, if you're a woman, you could own your own business. In Iran, if you're a woman, you could run for parliament and have a parliamentary position. In Iran, if you're a Jew, you can live there. Surprise, there's 50,000 Jews that live in Tehran. Ooh, what? Am I affecting your retarded Western viewpoint? Am I? Am I challenging some of this paradigm and this programming that most people are suffering with? Yes, there's 40 to 50,000 Jews that live in Tehran. Shocking. How come they haven't left? They've been there for tens of thousands of years. They've been there for thousands of years. Why would they leave? They like it there. They're not bothered. Why do you think we have Jews that live here? Not Zionists. There's a difference between a Jew and there's a difference between a Jew and a Zionist. Okay, there's a difference between Jews and Zionists. Judaism is a beautiful religion that respects life, that respects light and goodness. Zionism is a cancer. Zionism is like neoconservatism. It is extreme. It is problematic. It is heinous. It is genocidal. It's a problem, folks. And it is something that is an advent of the 20th century. That's what it is. That's what Zionism is. Political Zionism is a problem. We have Jews that, every year, every so many years, you have Jews that live right here in Brooklyn, New York. They're in Brooklyn. They're in Kew Gardens, Queens. They'll get on a plane. They'll fly over to the evil, repressive Iranian government. And they show solidarity with the government of Iran against some of the crazy, insane acts by the government of Israel. That's why I'm hoping the future for Israel to succeed, it has to overthrow its ideologies. And you know what? There is a younger generation that is coming up that is really rejecting the crazy neocon / Zionist viewpoints of their forefathers. Same thing with the Arabs. Look, if you want the Middle East to win, If there's supposed to be any sort of life in the Middle East, this ridiculous organized religious BS has to end. I believe, maybe, if we're lucky, maybe if we're blessed, Arab and Jew can get together. They can pour themselves a glass of vodka, eat some bacon, and talk about life. That would be wonderful. And understand that the dictates and the epitaphs of their book, written thousands of years ago, especially some of the barbarous stuff that's in there, is relegated to that. That's a whole other conversation I'm not getting into. But Iran is supposed to be this evil thing. If Iran's an evil thing, you got Christians that live in Iran. You got Zoroastrians that live in Iran. You have Jews that live in Iran. How many Jews live in Saudi Arabia? Goose egg.
Yeah, none.
How many women drive cars? I think they recently started giving out licenses here and there, but in a very, very restricted. You can drive this car, but past the 3 p.m., you must be home.
I think they're Campbells.
Yeah. Here's your camel license. You can only drive it every other Friday. You see what I'm saying? I mean, how many Christians are in Saudi Arabia? You see, isn't it funny that you have morons in some governmental moron? I don't know. CJ, I don't know exactly the whole entire story behind it, but I don't know if it's a prosecutor or an AG. I have no freaking clue. They're implicating Iran with 9/11 and the victims' families of 9/11. How stupid are we? 19 Saudi hijackers, or 15 out of the 19. Basically, 90-some-odd% of the quote-unquote hijackers, if you believe the official story, I don't, were from where? Saudi Arabia. But we're blaming Iran. Well, the reality is the whole entire deep state operation. Saudi Arabia is a sheep-dipped deep state entity. That's what it is. That's what it is.
V, let me ask you this. Why does the U.S. continue to allow the Saudis to have so much influence over, decisions? Why does this continue happening when we know that potentially their oil wells are running dry? We know all these things. So why does it continue? The continued illegal war in Yemen, the continued, massive military arms sales that we do to the Saudis. I mean, are they ever going to develop as a country, as a nation, to be able to protect themselves? I mean, I just don't get why that we continue to allow. We saw with the Bush administration, we saw with the Obama administration. We're starting to see a lot of that with the Trump administration. I just don't get it, and it's very frustrating to me.
It's a great question that you just asked, and the answer is this: Saudi Arabia is what I call a parasitic engine. Saudi Arabia is a parasitic engine that works in cohesion with the other parasitic engine that we have here in the United States called that's recently been termed the deep state. It's also that deep state that's in America is also another parasitic engine to what they have in England, in France, and so many other areas in the Western world. These things have their own agendas. Now, Saudi Arabia's purpose is what? Why are we always in bed with the Saudis? American dreams are built on Saudi pipelines, folks. I've said that 1,000,001 times. The American dream is built on Saudi pipelines. Saudi Arabia, the petrodollar hinges on Saudi Arabia. Okay, the U.S. Treasury. Okay, we work on a system. I don't know if most people realize this or not. We work on a system called importer of last resort. Nobody really talks about it. I think I mentioned it a few times in the course of the last couple of years. But the system we have is called importer of last resort. How does that work? Well, Saudi Arabia and any other country that buys, or let's just say that utilizes the dollar in trade, or utilizes the dollar in the sale of petroleum. What they do with the petroleum profits, if any profits they have, is to take those dollars and shove it back into our markets and or hold our treasury notes. Okay. That's called importer of last resort. In other words, the biggest export we have is our stupid paper. Okay, so the Saudis are holding a great deal of U.S. dollars. They're holding a great deal of they're also the linchpin for the entire petrodollar scheme. So if the Saudis go down, bye-bye petrodollar. If the Saudis go down, bye-bye U.S. economy. Okay? It is one of those tumors, CJ, that has developed gluconeogenesis. It's a tumor that's gotten so damn big within the host organism. It's gotten so damn big that it's already starting to establish its own blood supplies. It is to the point that there are critical blood vessels that the tumor has developed deep into the organism. That excising the tumor, removing the tumor, killing the tumor at this point in time means killing the organism. So how do you do it? The correct way to do it, folks, you see, as long as Saudi Arabia is alive, as long as it keeps the deep state alive, because the deep state's lifeblood is the dollar. So long as the dollar is not killed, you will have some sort of functioning somewhere of the deep state. You want to eviscerate the deep state, you start chopping at its most vulnerable aspect, which is its soft, pustule underbelly. Its economic underbelly is what you want to start hacking. If you want to target the dollar, or you want to target the deep state, you go after the dollar. That's how you disassemble it. So this move of getting out of the Iran nuke deal, because people say, "Oh, look, it was it was set up by the cabal." No, it wasn't set up by the cabal. London Paul went into that eloquently. It was set up by the fact that the U.S. is a nut job. It was set up by the fact that the Europeans are like, "Hey, man, we have no energy. You guys are going to sanction Russia. We got to have some sort of energy coming in. You morons want to sell us your oil and natural gas at twice the price that the Russians are selling to us, and you're incredibly unreliable. We needed some sort of backup." That's what the birth of this whole entire thing, this whole entire quote-unquote nuclear deal with Iran came about. This is not about nuclear weapons. They'll tell you it's about nuclear weapons because they know, because they treat you like you're an infant. They know if they say the word nuclear, it's like calling you a racist. Oh, I'm not a racist. Oh, I'm not racist. I have black friends. They know if they use the word nuclear, it's like calling you a homophobe. I'm not a homophobe. In fact, my friend Bobby's a flaming gay. You see, they know that you don't understand. See, they know that you've been so inured. You've been so programmed by Hollywood. You literally think a raghead in a cave with a suitcase can sit there and enrich plutonium. That an entire nuclear facility could be shoved into a closet space with some mad scientist with a beard named Ahmed Walid Al-Fakhutut is sitting in a cave somewhere, and he's enriching uranium in order to make a dirty bomb, in order to make a nuclear device. That's the picture Hollywood is giving you. So you will hear stupid stuff. There was a nuclear facility in northern Iran. I'm sorry, in northern Syria that was set up by Iran. Ooh, and you, not the folks that are listening. I'm just being rhetorical here.
Right.
I'm just being general. And then the brain dead American, Bubis Americanus. Bubis Americanus just, nuclear. There was a nuclear facility in northern Syria set up by the Iranians. We got to go bomb them. We got to go take them out. Bubis Americanus believes that the U.S. ended ISIS. Bubis Americanus believes there's a 3.9% unemployment rate when the latest report just came out on Drudge yesterday that 95.5 million people are still permanently out of the workspace. But there's a 3.9% rate. Boobus Americanus thinks the market's doing great. Boobus Americanus thinks everything's hunky-dory in Mortgageville. You see, so this move of Trump, of getting out the GCPOA, whatever, who does it benefit? Who does it benefit? That K Bono. Does it benefit you, the freedom-loving American? Does it benefit you? Or does it benefit the deep state? Does it benefit America? Or does it benefit the deep state? Does it benefit the libertarian, conservative, freedom-loving person that you are? Or does it benefit the neoconservative cabal? Who does it benefit? K Bono. Pulling out of this deal, folks, doesn't benefit us in the least bit. And Iran saw this long coming. That's why they said, okay, fine, you know what? We're not going to use dollars. We're going to use euros. I mean, there's a whole litany of reasons why they wouldn't want to use dollars, because there's a whole bunch of catch-22s that go along with using the dollar.
Well said.
Reflecting those strains, the Iran's Armed Forces Chief Major General Mohammad Bagheri said Iran's military power would defuse any threat to Tehran. Israeli Prime Minister, not to be outdone, Benjamin, I'm under investigation and probably be thrown in jail, Netanyahu, accused Iran of deploying, quote, very dangerous weapons in Syria to threaten Israel. Really? So you're accusing Syria of defending themselves against your idiotic airstrikes. A decision to quit the deal could also rattle oil markets due to Iran's role as a major exporter, which is another reason, folks, as I said earlier, the speculators and all the fear porn right now flying around with this Iran deal is elevating oil prices. Because Iran, this GCPOA deal will affect oil prices in the short term. This deal is a factor of peace and stabilization in a very disruptive, eruptive region. French Defense Minister Florence, whatever his name is. Trump, in a tweet on Monday, said he would make the announcement 2 p.m. on Tuesday. Iran suggested its economy would not be hurt whatever happened, but its rial was near record lows against the dollar in the free market, as Iranians try to buy hard currency, fearing financial turmoil if Trump quits the deal. Fearing they're trying to buy hard currency. Look, folks, the Iranian rial, there's a little spin over here, but I just want to mention the Iranian rial is a non-convertible currency. Nobody uses the rial outside of Iran. Okay, so the capital flight, no one's taking the rial and running out the door. Okay, no one's doing that. If there's any sort of capital flight, they're going to try to get into hard assets. They're going to try and get into different types of currencies. I can expect China to come in on the back end and try to do some stabilization work here, especially with Russia. We'll see what happens. We're prepared for all scenarios. If America pulls out of the deal, our economy will not be impacted. Okay. One man in one country might create some problems for us for a few months, but we will overcome those problems. Yes, because these people have been dealing with U.S. aggression, U.S. sanctions for decades. This is nothing new. If we're under sanctions or not, we will stand on our own feet, and that's what they have done. They have literally built themselves an industry in spite of sanctions, in spite of everything that's happening. They still stand. Whatever Trump's decision is, those concerns are likely to ease anytime soon as the fallout from the weeks of uncertainty and appointment. Our more hawkish U.S. foreign policy team expose underlying obstacles. Hawkish. Would that be the maniacal mustache, CJ? Would that be the maniacal mustache, John Bolton?
Yes.
This is the real deal, folks. This is what's the real backstory of what's going on. Okay, they use these look, when you hear Iranian nuke deal and nuke facility in the northern desert, these are all euphemisms for we need to protect the Saudis because the Saudis hold the dollar. This is all petrodollar. That's what this is. The whole entire thing is petrodollar driven. CJ.
No, I think you nailed it. I think that's the greatest concern. I mean, even if we, again, I wasn't happy when the entire deal, went through, but I think it's, very dangerous to, go back and shift at will at any time we foresee. And plus, I don't think it's going to matter, financially, economically, to Iran, not with the things that have occurred the last, few years. Um, I don't think that they're in danger of that, the past, whenever there were certain sanctions and things imposed, whether it's using the SWIFT system, they now have numerous ways of working around that system. So my concern is that, again, when we think of geopolitically, who has Trump's seat right now? Who is directing these changes, these powers? And I had an article up just a little bit ago in regards to the renewal of that basically what it does is the agreement that gives the administration, the sitting president, the war authority right to declare war anywhere they choose to do so. And what's odd is that this bill is actually being renewed and drafted by Tim Kaine and Bob Corker.
Oh,
so
two luminaries right there.
So is that any indication? And I think that's very dangerous. I think it's a very dangerous precedent that's being set, that we would give any individual the authority to begin to launch war at will. And it does name, obviously several countries, but it's the ideal around terrorism, all these things about. I mean, where is the balance of powers that the Constitution wanted to have? So yet we see the Democrats and the Republicans coming together to draft this bill. And remember, Trump is in office right now, but would we want these powers given to Hillary? Would we want these powers to given to any future?
No.
So why in the world would Congress do this? And that's why I always think back when I see these things and read these things online, and Rand Paul's out there, warning that there's no debate going on right now about this bill that's being drafted. Is that, I think back to George Carlin, his it's one big club and we're not in it, right? Yeah. So again, it's just reason for concern. I will remain optimistic. I hope that that things can change. And again, here in the U.S., I think that there are certain things in part that are happening, which is great. But inevitably, it's that foreign policy that puts lives at risk. It puts our brave military personnel who volunteer to go serve. And I had a friend the other day. His son just went and left and joined the Navy. All these things, but these politicians, they don't care. It's the massive greed, corruption. It's alignment with corporate America. It's just very concerning. V.
Can we stop already? Can we have an adult conversation? Can we have an adult conversation? Can we just stop? Can we stop? Can we stop saying, my son just joined the Navy, he's going to go fight for my freedom? You're a dumbass. Sorry. You're a dumbass. If you think our precious men and women in uniform are nothing but cannon fodder for a murderous, corporate-driven, deep state foreign policy, you are off your rocker. Your head is been wrapped in the flag and then shoved up your own sphincter. That's how bad it is. I mean, look at the wording of this. This is the authorization for use of military force, the AUMF. Oh, my God. Look at the words. The pedophile, Tim Kaine, which he looks like a pedophile to me. That pedophile radar goes off every time I see Tim Kaine. I want to punch him in the face, but that's a whole other issue here. And you have Corker. These are two extremely brilliant guys, and I say that euphemistically, folks. I don't think these guys are smart at all. They're freaking morons. Anyway, this is what he says. They're going to declare war in the following places and people: the Taliban, Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, ISIS anywhere. How's that, Siege? Is that great? I can attack any country now. Oh, you go ahead and attack, I don't know, whatever country you want because there's ISIS there. Imagine that. You bomb Venezuela. There's ISIS over there. ISIS was there. Al-Shabaab in Somalia and elsewhere. I like how they phrase the word elsewhere. Al-Qaeda in Syria, Al-Nusra in Syria, the Haqqani network in Pakistan and Afghanistan, Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb, in Niger, in Algeria, in Libya, okay, in Nigeria. And here's the word that I love so much: associated forces around the globe. What? Siege, what the hell? Can you explain to me what is, quote, associated forces?
I think that's any one link. So if there's someone next door to them that may have some posters or anything, we can declare war on them.
It's insane.
Yeah, and that could probably even include, several Americans as well. And anyone who doesn't walk the globalist line, V.
It's one day I love celebrating some of the changes that we're seeing in foreign policy, like North Korea. Then I still see the Middle East. And folks, the only reason why, look, here's the deal. Do you think if China was not in the position they're in today, and President Xi Jinping is not in the position that he's in today, and Vladimir Putin is not in the position that he's in today, and Russia's not in the position that they're in today, do you honestly think that the U.S. left to its own devices, there would actually be peace in North Korea? Without the Russians and the Chinese saying, yeah, you might want to settle this whole entire thing, when multiple warnings have went out from China. Listen, you want to float over, you want to start some sort of beef in North Korea, we will send every single one of your naval ships to the bottom. And believe you me, they can do it. But America has space weapons. Okay, sure. Yeah. It's an Area 51, V. Uh-huh. This is what I'm saying. It's a schizophrenic, murderous foreign policy. And when you have Congress who drafted this bill? Fucking Tim Kaine?
Yeah, Tim Kaine and Bob Corker.
These are two deep state swampers. They're drafting this bill. Why would they draft this bill to give the president more power? Why would they want to give Trump more power? These guys must be really out of their gourd, and they must really think that they're going to have to impeach Trump, this fall, and give all these powers to their war goddess if she runs again. Now she's running around in 90-degree weather in New York with a back brace on and an overcoat and a scarf. Did you see that, CJ? Did you see the pictures?
Yep, absolutely. I did.
It's crazy. It's simply breathtaking, man. Associated forces. This is the kind of crap, folks. Okay? I'm hanging out. I'm chilling. Midterm elections, 2018. If things don't change then, we got problems. Come midterms, 2018. We still got the deep staters hanging out. We still got the Clintons jet setting throughout the world with back braces and ankle braces and dentures or whatever kind of brace you want to wear, and they're jet setting all over the world. Barack Obama is he's jet setting all over the world. The first lady forever, Michelle, the Klingon, is out there, just talking nonsense, and all the deep staters are intact. We got severe problems. The biggest problem with America is your currency. Do you understand? The biggest problem with us is our currency. So in order to kill the deep state, we're going to have to kill the very economic things that we benefit off of, which is our currency. It has to get killed. Who's got the balls to do it? I don't know. But something has to give. Something has to give, because this is not a simple solution here. Anywhere. There's not a simple solution. But I'm telling you right now, this murderous foreign policy and this continued effort to make the presidential office or the executive office a dictatorship must stop. I love when people say, look, the president is commander-in-chief. No, he's not. All throughout the Obama administration, you heard that the president is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. No, he's not. Okay? A president is commander-in-chief, folks, only and only when Congress gets a declaration of war, once they vote on it, they draft a declaration of war, they hand over that declaration of the war to the executive branch for the executive branch to execute. And once the executive branch takes that declaration of war, at that point, and at that point only, does the president of the United States become the commander-in-chief of the United States Armed Forces. That is how the law works. They want to circumvent that and say, hey, the president could be, he can be armed, commander-in-chief of the armed forces in perpetual. Why? Because we're in perpetual war. We're also in perpetual debt. I just want the crap show to be over.
Yeah, No, this always leads me down the discussion regarding the divide and conquer, mentality. We see it so much domestically. We're witnessing it again, with Trump. So if we think back to Obama, we think of, BLM. We think to what was it, the Missouri incident with, the cops and open borders and all these things to keep us all so fixated and distracted on, domestic issues here in the state. We see the same thing with this administration, with, Sessions out there yesterday saying, we will separate families at the border. They come across all this thing to get this false narrative, this fake narrative of the left and right, always clashing about these social and domestic issues here in the U.S. However, it's all a distraction. It keeps us fixated on those things, but yet internationally, we witness these things happening, like this crazy AUMF bill, the crazy foreign policy that we're seeing. Those are the things that truly impact us. But when we're so fixated on these things here, locally, it provides great cover. It provides great cover to the people that are still asleep at the wheel, not understanding the geopolitical, these ramifications of these things that are happening. And, again, that's just my opinion, my feelings, but we just see it time and time again with all these distractions and all these things that, get people all excited and, upset at this fake left-right paradigm thing.
So stupid, man. I mean, when I go through my Twitter feed, I see guys like Jack Posobiec. I mean, he's a good kid. He's like, yes, look, we've defeated ISIS. We have a 3.9%. We have 3.9% unemployment. I mean, people just don't get it, man. They just don't get it. And it's problematic, dude. It's problematic. It's like it's like I'm living in a country of just kids. Everybody's a kid. Everybody's in some sort of state of arrested development. No one wants to have, a serious discussion. And there's nothing but axioms all over the place. Everybody's just repeating axioms. It's very axiomatic. And on top of that, they're sacred cows. Like, what do you do? What do you do when everything's axiomatic and all around you sacred cows? Oh, they're fighting for my freedom. That's the biggest thing that gets the military killed is when we don't question our government and we don't question where we're putting our best and our great young men and women in uniform and putting them in harm's way. When we don't question that, that's a problem. Because at the end of the day, you think these elite scumbags, you think freaking guys like Jeff Bezos cares about armed forces? You think these guys who are trillionaires and billionaires care about how the armed forces are? They really worry about the military. They're losing sleep over the fact that, dude, it breaks my heart when I see a veteran, a real legitimate veteran, begging on the streets for food. It's a problem. You think these guys care? Yeah. No, they don't care. But as long as we, the dumbass sheep, say, go ahead, Bobby. Go fight for my freedom. Bobby ain't fighting for your freedom, you dumb idiot. What freedom have you gained since 9/11? Nothing. What freedom have you lost? A whole lot. A whole lot. A whole lot. You see, you're so far gone. You're so boiled as a frog right now, you don't even know what you're missing. You're so boiled like a frog, you don't even know what you're missing. If the founding fathers came back from the dead right now, CJ, they would not hesitate to call for a bloody revolution.
Oh, no, not at all.
I mean, they would be storming the Capitol, shooting these assholes dead. But no, it's okay. Business as usual. 3.9% unemployment rate. We defeated ISIS. What a freaking joke that is. We are the light and beacon of truth in the world, and all is good. All is good. Let's see what happens at 2 p.m., bro.
All right, let's do it. Yep, we will be here.
With that being said, folks, we are over and we're out. Take it away, El